Google has updated the Google Analytics certification, including the learning resources and many of the questions in the assessment. And one of the biggest changes I've noticed is the questions are more practical. Instead of simply remembering definitions, you'll need to understand which report, feature, or setting you would use in a particular situation. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how the updated certification works, the topics I recommend studying, and the types of questions you can expect in the assessment. We'll also walk through some practice questions together so you can see if you're ready to take the assessment. Okay, let's get started. Let's head to Google Skillshop. I've already signed into Skillshop using my Google account, and this is where you'll find the Google Analytics certification. I've included a link to this page in the description below this video. Once you've opened the page, you'll see the 4 recommended learning sections, followed by the certification assessment. Let's select this and open the exam. The exam includes 50 multiple choice questions and you'll have 75 minutes to complete it. You'll need to score 80% or higher to pass. Once you begin, the timer starts and the exam can't be paused, so make sure you've set aside enough uninterrupted time. If you don't pass on your first attempt, you can take the exam again after waiting 1 day. And once you've passed your certification, it's valid for 12 months. So, can you pass the exam without studying? If you work with Google Analytics often, you might already know enough. However, I still recommend reviewing the learning material even briefly before taking the assessment. The updated assessment covers reporting, attribution, key events, audiences, Google Ads, BigQuery, user permissions, Analytics 360, and other topics you might not use regularly. Google recommends completing 4 learning sections before taking the assessment. The first is getting started using Google Analytics. If you're new to Google Analytics, this is where you should begin. It covers the fundamentals, including accounts, properties, data streams, users, sessions, events, and how Google Analytics collects data. One of the most important things to understand in this section is the difference between dimensions and metrics. Dimensions provide descriptive information, like country, device category, and session source. Metrics are measurable values, like users, sessions, revenue, and key events. The second section is Manage GA data and Learn to read reports. This is one of the most important sections for the updated assessment, because many questions describe a business situation and ask you to choose the most appropriate report. Instead of trying to memorize every report, focus on the business questions each one helps you answer. For example, if someone asks, "Where did my users first come from?" think about the user acquisition report. If they ask, "Where did my sessions come from?" think about the traffic acquisition report. You should also understand when to use reports like pages and screens, landing page, and real-time. The third section is dive deeper into GA data and reports. This introduces more advanced topics including explorations, audiences, key events, attribution, and advertising reports. I found that attribution appeared more frequently in the updated assessment than it did previously. You don't need to memorize every detail, but you should understand how attribution assigns credit and the difference between first user, session, and event-scoped attribution dimensions. I'd also spend some time reviewing key events. Make sure you know how to mark an event as a key event, why key events are important, and how they can be used with Google Ads. The final section is Use GA with other tools and data sources. This covers integrations and more advanced features, including Google Ads, BigQuery, data import, APIs, and Analytics 360. You don't need to become an expert in every integration. However, you should understand what each one is designed to do. For example, BigQuery lets you export your Google Analytics data so you can analyze it using SQL and combine it with other data. Data import lets you enrich the information available in Google Analytics using data from other business systems. And linking Google Analytics with Google Ads lets you share audiences and create Google Ads conversions based on your analytics key events. I'd also review administrative features you might not use every day, including user permissions and data streams. So if I only had one day to prepare, I'd focus on 5 areas: dimensions and metrics, the standard reports, attribution, key events, and integrations and administrative features. These areas cover many of the practical scenarios you're likely to encounter in the assessment. I've also created a Google Analytics certification exam study guide to help you prepare. It brings together the key topics you need to review, along with practice questions to help you check your understanding before taking the assessment. I've included a link in the description below. However, the most important thing is to use Google Analytics while you're studying. Let's head to Google Analytics. I recommend opening a property and navigating through the reports. Open the Explore workspace and create an exploration. Then navigate to Admin and review the settings available for the property. If you don't have access to your own property, you can use Google's demo account. It gives you access to real data, so it's a useful way to become familiar with the interface before taking the assessment. The updated assessment is less about memorizing definitions and more about knowing which feature you should use to answer a particular question. And that brings us to the practice questions. Let's see how you go with 3 example questions. These aren't questions taken from the assessment, but they reflect the practical, scenario-based style you can expect. A marketing manager wants to understand which marketing channels first brought new users to their website. Which report should they use? Is it A, traffic acquisition, B, user acquisition, C, engagement overview, or D, advertising? The correct answer is B, user acquisition. This report focuses on how users originally discovered your website or app. Traffic acquisition is different because it focuses on sessions. This distinction between users and sessions appears regularly throughout the assessment, so make sure you're comfortable with it. A business wants to analyze its Google Analytics data using SQL and combine it with information from other systems. Which feature should it use? Is it A, measurement protocol, B, data API, C, BigQuery, or D, data import? The correct answer is C, BigQuery. BigQuery lets you export event-level data from Google Analytics. You can then query the data using SQL, combine it with other sources, and perform more advanced analysis. A colleague needs to create explorations and analyze reports, but they shouldn't be able to manage users or change the properties settings. Which role should you assign? Is it A, viewer, B, editor, C, administrator, or D, analyst? The correct answer is D, analyst. The analyst role lets someone create and edit shared assets, including explorations, without giving them the broader configuration permissions available to an editor or administrator. How did you go? If you understood why each answer was correct, you're already approaching the assessment in the right way. Instead of asking which answer sounds familiar, ask which option would I actually use to solve this problem. And if you'd like more practice, you'll find a link to my additional Google Analytics practice questions in the description below. When you're ready to take the assessment and earn your certification, open the Google Analytics certification in Skillshop and select the exam. Before clicking Start Test, make sure you have enough uninterrupted time. You'll have 75 minutes and the timer can't be paused once you begin. However, you shouldn't need to rush. Most people have enough time to read each question carefully. If two answers appear reasonable, look for the small details in the question. Is it asking you about users or sessions? Is it asking you about reporting or configuration? Does someone need to view information, analyze it, or change the property settings? These details will usually point you towards the best answer. Once you've passed the assessment, you'll receive your Google Analytics certification. You can access completed certifications by opening your activities in Skillshop. From there, you can view your certification and access your certificate and digital badge. Your certification might appear immediately, or there can be a short delay after you've finished the exam. You can also add the certification to your LinkedIn profile and include it on your CV. The best way to prepare for the Google Analytics certification is to combine the learning material with time inside Google Analytics. Make sure you understand the standard reports, key events, attribution, permissions, and integrations. If you're taking the assessment soon, good luck. And once you've earned your certification, come back and let me know in the comments. You'll find links to the certification, Google's demo account, my practice questions, and my exam study guide in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.